because you can't protect God. You define and defend as an apologetic of what God has already said. So make sure your righteousness is not the righteousness you preach on Sunday. Let it be God's righteousness that you preach on Sunday. Because your righteousness does not assist God at all. He already said our righteousness is just like filthy rags. We've already concluded that. Having said that, let us turn now to page 12, and we will continue our studying. We're going to conclude planning as the Apostle Paul did there, 1 Corinthians 11:14. He provides instruction for worship. And we talked about that the other day. In Romans 12 and 1 Corinthians 12 and Ephesians 4 provides instruction for building up the body of Christ. Listen, let those chapters, and particularly 1 Corinthians and Romans 12, let that be something you get thoroughly familiar with. I tell you what, it will assist you twofold. It assisted me in coming out of my low self-esteem that I had of myself. Then it also assisted me in being able to assist other Christians without implementing or without me taking my bias and passing on my bias into other people. It prevents me from having my prejudice come out. Remember me talking about the black church. The reason I love the black church is because it is very inclusive. We don't exclude people unless they come to our church and try to destroy the church. And then, of course, you have no other option but to exclude those. Because the Bible talks about discipline. It talks about accountability, doesn't it? And so we are inclusive. We're not exclusive. That can't be said about a lot of churches. I heard Chuck Swindoll, the church he pastored in California for years, was a very exclusive church. He excluded certain people from that church and did not allow people. And the guy who took over that church, he opened up that church to the community. You wouldn't normally think Chuck Swindoll would have done that, but he did. There were not very many minorities in that church, the same as he got in church school. Not very many minorities in church, Chuck Swindoll church. He is sort of exclusive. He was the president of Dallas Seminary during the years my son was there. My son said, Daddy, do you know he's pretty much exclusive? The church left out in California, it has expanded. The membership has tripled and doubled. And he wants to keep a church like 3,000 or 4,000 people now. And I think he ran into some of the same problems down. He's a good speaker. You would feel ultimate godly man. That's the way you go down in history. But sometimes be careful with hypo or with people that we look up to. Sometimes it's best to kind of find out a little bit about it before we go put them on the pedestal. We deify some and then we demonize others. Let's be careful about that. Okay? Now, we want to go to organization. Organization is very important in the local church. Honest and true. Now, what might have gone on yesteryear may not be nominty for today. Not in every place. Sometimes we too have to be progressive. It's just like the Bible, it is progressivism until at least the conclusion of the book of Revelation. God gave us the Bible piece by piece by piece over a period of years. He didn't give it all to us at once. And you notice something, God could change certain programs without changing himself. So certain programs may not work all time for certain people. Keep that in mind. Why would God move from the dispensation of innocence to the dispensation of conscience? You see what I'm saying? He changed certain be the same kind of church I had before. I'm going to be pretty much managing this church that we have going on now. Like before, most of the time I was the center of nearly everything. But I see right now I don't have to be there because of the people God has already given me. And I don't have to preach every Sunday. And I'm grateful to God. Now I will be in some form of teaching pretty much throughout the week, not just on Sundays only. And then we look at 2 churches or 3 churches, not with the same people, because there's a group already said, well, we can come and be with you involved at night, but we can't, they want one person said he would like to start 2 o'clock worship service. So I have to be open for all of these areas. We have to be flexible now. Let's remember that. Be flexible, continue to train people. 1 Corinthians 4:40 teaches that all things are to be done properly and in an orderly manner. Whether it's teaching, preaching, serving the Lord's table, or what, because he's concluding now where he had started off in the 11th chapter of the book of 1 Corinthians. I'm on page 12. Page 12. 14:40. Oh, 14. That's a 4. I thought you said 4. Oh, no, 14:40. So organization, from that, let's look at and define organization. I got it here for you. Organization can be defined as doing things in an orderly manner. So when we talk about organization, that'll be good if I would ask the next class a pop quiz. Define organization according to 1 Corinthians 14. There's the answer. Doing things in an orderly manner. In an organization context, this involves 2 primary activities. Number 1, first, developing an organizational structure which depicts the relationship between each of the members of the organization. They should be so well defined. Secondly, preparing job description, so those who serve will know what is expected of them in terms of qualification and responsibility. Now, jobs may overlap each other, and that's good because that will require people to come together throughout the period and help work together. A good example, each children ministry requires some evangelism done. And when you have your adult ministry, single ministry, and all of that overlap because some interchange is going to be made. So organization itself that is defined helps you better plan and helps your vision as you move in the church heavenly bound. That's what is taking place here. It is very clear, and I state this, that God created this world in a very orderly manner. And we got Genesis 1-2. You can see it's you see the order of creation. Very order. Let there be light. And then that day ends, even in morning becomes the first, the second, or third day. Now let us make man, but it's very orderly, He puts everything here before he puts mankind here. And then he says to man, utopia sets before you. Get in, live it out, enjoy life. Then God goes back off the scene. He goes back off the scene. Now, I'm not talking about anything like